Well, Caroline, it's good to see you again. I know we left off our last session talking about Jeff and how you've kind of been feeling a little needy and kind of concerned about that. So how have things been going since the last time we talked?
Um, about the same. I don't think they've gotten better.
Mhm.
I'm just still feeling like I'm regressing into old patterns of mine from my previous past relationships where, like you said, I just was told I was needy and probably was needy. So that's just still the challenge.
Mhm. Yeah. So struggling with the needy, feeling needy, excuse
Yeah,
me.
feeling needy.
Um, okay. So I wonder, it kind of sounds like there's also might be some anxiety around kind of regressing into those old patterns. Would you say that's
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Anxiety is just feeling like I really want this relationship to work
Mhm.
and anxious that I might ruin it through being needy.
Mhm.
Hmm.
What do you think kind of needy looked like in your past relationships, or how kind of what do those patterns look like?
That's a good question. I think it looked like always needing reassurance and always needing to hear from them, always needing to know what they were doing, um, just always needing attention. Yeah.
Well, it kind of reminds me one of the core components of DBT is kind of this, it's called dialectics. And
Mm.
it's sort of this concept of like two things can be true at the same time. And so kind of when I'm listening to you, I'm hearing both that you are you're wanting this attention and you're wanting to be cared about and to be told
Yeah.
that you're loved, which is, a natural human need. And at the same time, kind of trying to figure out how can I balance having, a partner that also has their own life with their own, individual people.
Hmm. Yeah. That really is something I haven't considered before. That both could be true.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Um, kind of on a little different path. What would you say um are maybe yours and your main concern with Jeff right now? Um,
Um, our main concern, or my main concern, is that is the time we spend together versus the time he spends with other people like his friends or his family. It seems
mhm,
like there's sort of, I feel like I'm not getting enough.
yeah.
Hmm.
Have you and Jeff been able to kind of talk about this at all, or how's that been?
We've tried to talk about it. I've tried to bring it up before, but I get very emotional about it, and then he gets defensive, and then we both sort of shut down, and nothing ever comes out of it. It just makes it worse.
Yeah, it's hard to have those kind of those hard conversations.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Um, is that kind of an area you think you might like to work on in therapy?
It is, yeah. Yeah, I think if that could be resolved, I think a lot of things would be better. Mhm.
Okay. Well, one of the three main components of DBT is interpersonal effectiveness,
Mm,
which just kind of is fancy for, being able to have good relationships essentially, and being able to work within those relationships well.
yeah.
And so there's a technique called Dear Man, which is kind
Mm,
of focused on helping people just become better communicators, and helping you get what you want and need, by being assertive and a self advocate, but also taking into consideration the needs of your partner Jeff, for example.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that
Does
sounds
that
really
sound okay? Yeah.
yeah,
Well, if that's something you'd like to work on, then we can just jump right on in.
definitely.
um Awesome. All right. So Dear Man is the acronym,
Mhm.
and the D stands for describe. And so we want to describe the current situation and kind of the facts around that. I mean, specifically just sticking to the facts so that we, we don't aren't bringing up kind of our maybe distortions we might have.
Sure.
And then also just remaining, non-judgmental as we're kind of talking through this of both ourselves and of the other person.
Yeah.
So can you kind of maybe think of an example of how that might look with you and Jeff with maybe your concerns
Yeah.
uh, that you've expressed, kind of one of your main concerns?
Yeah. I'd describe it to him as maybe saying like you spend 3 nights with your friends or 3 days with your friends, and then I only get to spend one night with you a week.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, I think that that's an effective, important fact to note as you're kind of validating yourself in your experience of, not having enough time with Jeff.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, the second one is for A is or for the E, excuse me, is express feelings. So about the situation.
Hmm.
And we just when we're expressing the feelings, we want to keep I statements in mind. So I feel blank when blank happens. And just to keep the focus on kind of your feelings, which helps people not get too it helps people not have their walls come up. So it can help you maybe stay engaged, keep Jeff engaged in the
Sure.
conversation.
Sure.
So do you have a kind of a maybe a main feeling that you're feeling as when you're not being able to spend as much time with Jeff as you'd like?
Yeah. I think I feel lonely, um, or hurt. I think hurt would
Hmm.
be a good one. So maybe I feel hurt when I only get to spend one night a week with you. Um,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's hard not to be able to spend as much time with you want as the people that you really with the people you really care about.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
All right. Well, the next letter is A, which is assert yourself by asking just directly for what you want, or maybe it looks like saying no in other circumstances. But we really want to keep in mind that we're not going to assume people can read our minds. We got to be direct and clear kind of when we're asserting ourselves so that people have a good understanding of what it is that you're really wanting and so that they really know what you're asking for and they don't have to come up with kind of maybe oh maybe this is what she's looking for. So
Yeah.
what might you want to assert in a conversation with Jeff?
Um, that I want to spend more time with him. Um, and that I want to be a priority
Hmm.
in his life.
Yeah. Another way assertion could look in this situation too is just saying, um, I I want to be able to spend like 2 nights with you a week or something like that too, and giving it a couple more details to really help him know exactly what you are looking for too.
Yeah. 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 So I want to yeah, I like that. I want to spend probably 2 or 3 nights a week
Mhm.
with you. Yeah.
All right, and then the letter R is for reinforce or reward.
Mm.
And I know that can kind of sound like weird and parental maybe, but in this case it's just about um giving like rewarding the things that your partner does well for you. And so, we do actually see this a lot. So if somebody
Yeah.
does something nice for you, then maybe you surprise them with a little gift or you do something nice in return. And so um do you think are there some things you could think of that would maybe be appropriate for you to kind of reward this behavior that Jeff does that supports what you're looking for?
Yeah. I think this might be like a natural consequence of it, but maybe my nagging would stop
Mhm.
and I wouldn't be so inclined to be frustrated with him all the
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there maybe one that you think would be kind of a positive reward? Because that's sort of that's taking something away, which is great.
Sure.
And I think, but also positive rewards can be really beneficial,
Mhm.
and sometimes even more effective.
Yeah. Um, hmm. Hmm. maybe like when we do spend time together, like making it special, like
Mhm,
make a nice dinner or choose something for us to do rather than just like sitting on the TV. I think
mhm.
like maybe even me being intentional about our time spent together and really honoring that time would be good.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
All right. The last three letters for man are kind of more just ways to act.
Mm,
Um, so the M stands for mindful. So throughout this whole the dear part, we want to make sure that we're present and just focused on what you really want.
yeah.
And so, not getting distracted by kind of other pieces of the conversation, and especially things like phones or other distractions. It's important to keep kind of those out of the conversation as well.
Yeah.
Um, and then the A is a pure confident. And so you just want to, be sitting up straight or making eye contact and just really show that you're engaged. And this can both help with your assertion,
Yeah.
and kind of also just show that you care and that this is something valuable to you.
Yeah.
Uh, and then the last one is negotiate, which is you have to be able to give and take a little bit because
Mhm.
if it isn't something Jeff necessarily wants, then you might have to give some, but that assertion aspect comes back and it's really important to make sure that you give and take to a certain extent and you're not gonna you still want to be able to see Jeff more in this instance.
Yeah.
So kind of what are your thoughts on kind of all of that? I kind of threw a lot of information out at you.
Yeah. My thoughts are good because I don't ever communicate in a way that is assertive.
Mhm.
Um, and it's more so, like I said earlier, nagging and
Yeah.
blaming instead of asking for what I need. So that's very
Mhm.
different for me. Hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're running out of time, so I will see you next week.
Awesome. Thank you.